I don't know how you're feeling about heading to the airport at this point, but what do you think about everything that has transpired in the House today? Would you have voted to approve that Senate bill if it got to the House?
Well, let's just go back to the beginning of this. I mean,
Okay.
what's happened is politics has taken the place of policy. And obviously, when we started out, we had the great work that were done in appropriations on both the House and Senate side. We had a bipartisan, bicameral bill to actually get our
Hmm.
12th appropriation bill through. And then the Democrats completely blew this up in the Senate. And we've been, what's been 42 days now that
Yeah.
DHS has been unfunded. And it's clear that they put politics above public safety. And not just public safety, but just the welfare. Think of all those TSA agents that are now, continue to go unpaid. Think of,
Hmm.
all the issues with the Coast Guard, with FEMA, with everything that falls under DHS. And I'll tell you what we've done in the House is we have continued to pass a bill to fund DHS in its entirety as we got out of committee bipartisan and bicameral. So, of
Yep.
course, there's some heartburn about passing this.
Okay, so can I get back to that question though? I mean, we're steeped in this wonky stuff every day, Congressman, and we understand the
Right.
stakes here, and the rhetoric that's coming from both sides. Is there a way out of this today, or is everybody going home for another couple weeks?
Well, what I understand is going to happen now because we've had conversations about trying to get a vote on suspension on whether we could get the votes to get that through or not, whether we
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
go through the rule process. But what I understand now is there is a CR that's on the table that will be an 8-week
Hmm.
continuing resolution so that we can continue so that we can fund everything that we need to fund and give us
Yeah.
8 weeks of time to actually negotiate and try to get some good policy through and hopefully cut
Uh-huh.
through the politics. And what we're expecting now, I believe, if they haven't started, that at some point today, the Rules Committee is going to meet to try to get this through for this CR. And
Hmm.
I've heard it's possible that we'll vote on that as early as tonight. It may be tomorrow, but this is Congress. Who knows what else
Huh.
might be thrown in there? But that's the current expectation.
All right, we're going to the source here. This is really fascinating, Congressman. Is the Republican conference largely or entirely on board? And if this passes, do we think the Senate comes back to vote on it?
Well, I mean, the Senate is that's a big who knows. But what
Sure.
I'm hoping is that we can get everybody on board because this is critical. As I mentioned, it's become very political and not about the policy. We need to get this agency refunded for all the reasons I've already articulated.
Hmm.
But if the Senate continues on this path that they're willing to put the politics ahead of the people and not actually pass this bicameral bipartisan bill that they've already agreed to, I'm not sure where we get to at this point. But we continue to pass this bill in the House as everybody's agreed to. We're going to continue trying to do this, and hopefully calmer heads can prevail if we get this CR passed and have that 8 weeks to negotiate a final version of this.
Really interesting. It's a long ride to Montana, Congressman. I know you got to wait in some lines here. And I'll
It
remind our
is.
listeners and viewers, you deployed twice in Afghanistan
Yes, I did.
as an airman. And I'm wondering your
Yeah,
thoughts
I,
right
I
now. You
was
know, that
I was
first
in a
batch of Marines. Go
yeah,
ahead if
yeah, I
you
was in a
want.
combat search and rescue squadron. Sorry, I stepped on you there.
Yes, sir. No, not at all. I just say airman as a member of the Air Force. We've got troops on the way right now. That first, as I understand it, first Marine Corps Expeditionary Unit could arrive as early as today, and others are on the way. There's a Wall Street Journal report out today, whether it ends up being true, that the Pentagon's considering calling up another 10,000 troops. As probably the only person I'll speak with today who's been deployed in harm's way, I'm just wondering where your head is on all of this. If you're worried about these men and women, or if they are exactly what's needed to apply pressure at the negotiating table.
Well, you never take the decision to put boots on the ground lightly, and there's
Hmm.
always concerns about that. And what I come back to in this is you've got to weigh the risks, not just to our allies, not just to the region, but to the United States of America and to this planet in having a terrorist Islamist regime that has access to nuclear weapons. And we needed to make sure that we completely foreclosed on their opportunity to do that. And to make sure that they continue to comply and not be developing that, we needed to make sure that we were taking out their ballistic and their naval capabilities. So now move to where we're at right now. Obviously, there's been a lot that's happened since this started. And we need to find a way of opening up the Port of Hormuz. And I think that we're starting to move on that line. Nobody takes sending troops into harm's way lightly, but the other part, the alternative, is having a terrorist Islamist regime that has access to nuclear weapons. And whether they can send those ballistically or send them in containers or some other way, it still puts this planet at risk. And I think that we need to make sure that we completely foreclose on that opportunity for them.
Well, most analysts have told us it will require actual people. It will require troops to get our hands on that enriched uranium that has gone missing. And apparently that is, in fact, one of the objectives that the White House has here. Was it a smart move for the president to give this another 10 days?
Well, as it should be, because the concern is now, I've heard different numbers of 60% enriched uranium. And the ability to get that to weapons grade it's pretty close already. So we need to make sure we're pulling that out so that it's not used. Like I said, even if you've completely disabled their ability to send anything ballistically, that doesn't mean something's going to be, sent and harm us in a much bigger way, in a shipping container or some other means. So we need to make sure that that's all accounted for and or destroyed, but obviously if we can get in there and pull it out so we know that they don't have access to any material, I think that's the best outcome we can get to. And as the president said, and as we've said from the beginning, the goals here is to make sure that they never have the capability of nuclear weapons, they don't have ballistic capability, and they don't have naval capability. And that's that last part of the stated goals.
Are you glad the president gave this another 10 days, or should he be less forgiving?
Well, I'm not going to, speculate on what intel the president had access to make that decision. But I will tell you that I have faith in this administration in doing the right thing and making sure that we prevail in our stated goals in this operation. And you don't ever want to be overzealous and put anybody in harm's way that you shouldn't, but you need to make sure that we are getting to that stated goal. And as everybody said from the beginning of this, this is not intended to be, and we don't expect it to be, a prolonged operation, but we do need to get those stated goals, and I'm still confident that we can do it without this turning into a long, drawn-out deal.